I want to welcome you both to the show. Two of the nicest MCs in the game. Goes by the name of Bobby J from Rockaway and Hush, Detroit and Queens collab. Welcome to the show, Sports Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, like 365 IR Radio. How's it going tonight, guys?
It's going great, man. Thank you for having us.
Of course, 718-2313.
Yes, sir.
This is the first time ever that this to happen.
As far as we know, it is. You know what I'm saying? I know there's been collaboration songs and stuff in the past with New York and Detroit rappers, but yeah, man, I think me and Hush go way back. We've been friends for a long time, and we've been discussing doing music together. And I think the start of COVID was kind of the catalyst to get us in the studio together. And you know, what started as a couple songs turned into an album that really just became bigger than the both of us. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people came into the fold, both from Detroit and New York, and that's where the whole concept of 718-2313 came about. You know, it was just a meeting of the two cities. I think there's a big mutual respect, not only between me and Hush, you know, respectively as artists, but just from city to city. You know, I think I'm heavily influenced by New York and Detroit hip hop. Hush, you know, being a student of the 80s and 90s, like he's a student of New York hip hop and obviously his local scene. So it was something that we thought was an interesting concept. And you know, like I said, as far as we know, we've never seen it done before. So to bring the two cities together and you know, make the hip hop that we want to make, it was an incredible experience, man. We're super proud of this album.
An incredible experience that I've heard before when doing my research and just listening to this album. It's definitely one for the books for hip hop goes. And, you know, you mentioned that you guys connected, you've been friends for a long time. You started out in the AOL chats back in the day.
Yeah. I was just a fan, man. Like most of my early, you know, hip hop experiences was online, man. Like I was just a kid in my basement, like trying to soak up all the hip hop knowledge I could. You know, I think at the time I was 12 or 13 years old. Napster had just come out, and you know, I had gone from listening to all the albums my brother brought home and was just trying to be a sponge and soak up as much hip hop as possible. And you know, I went online and discovered the underground. Really, that's where I discovered underground hip hop. And you know, in those early days, there would be underground rappers that would put like their AOL screen names or their email addresses like on their albums. So I used to just add them as friends on AOL and be like, yo, let me instant message this guy. Let me see if I could send him some music. So I used to do that with Hush. Paradigm was another one, another Detroit artist. And I was sending them songs like in the early 2000s, like, and just looking for feedback. And it was cool to me that I was talking to somebody that was actually like in the game, cutting his teeth, like trying to put records out. So he was always like a mentor figure, you know, would always give me positive feedback, always told me to keep going. And he would come in and out of we would come in and out of each other's life, like just at weird, opportune moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't talk to him for a couple of years, and then I started working with Kwame, and then we started talking again. And I would send him, you know, when I put out my first video with him, I sent him the video. And, you know, he was just like, pat me on the back, like, congratulations, man, that's great. And I think when he was signed to Geffen, I actually hooked him up with Kwame to potentially do some music together. And then again, like he had his whole trajectory as an artist through Geffen, and then later on as an independent artist. And we didn't speak for years. And then he started following me on Instagram when I started doing the breakfast bar shit. And we connected again in like 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kept the rapport going. And around the start of the pandemic is when we actually really started making songs together. The first of which is a song on the album called Monsters That Do on Maple Street. And we put that out. It got an amazing response, like immediately. And we were like, let's continue with this. Let's see where this goes. And that was the start of the album.
And I appreciated the Twilight Zone references, not only to the song title, but mentioning Kick the Can in the song as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Twilight Zone, I think, is the greatest show ever made. So, you know, and though that time, March 2020, you know, when I wrote my verse, it was reflective of that episode. If you ever seen the episode Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, it's kind of a metaphor for like what was going on at that time, just the uncertainty and everyone kind of being scared of each other, and it just made sense. Like, I don't know, that was the first line that came out when I started writing my verse. So yeah, it was crazy time. So to go from way back then, which seems like forever ago, to now when we got this album out, it's crazy.
Hush, back in the day, Bobby J was persistent, I heard, with trying to get your feedback. At what point did you say to yourself, man, this kid's got talent, and you decided to eventually collaborate with Bobby J?
You know what? When he first sent me the stuff that he like, I guess for him was like the official start of his career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I, like he said, like, we would fish in and out of each other's lives at certain spots. And, what I mean? And he was always a consummate fan of, like he said, like of Detroit hip hop. But, and I knew that he was talking to other rappers from Detroit because like he was talking about, he would be in those chat rooms. And, it's crazy because he would be in those chat rooms talking to us as a teenager. And, we were in our 20s, trying to really like get on out of Detroit. And, this was like the hip hop shop era. This was like the days of the Shelter, like the 8 Mile days. And it's funny that he would be doing that while I'm in those chat rooms and I'm talking to like people that produced like Kool G Rap's first album, like Joe the Butcher. Yeah. And talking to him about production and what I should be using and that kind of stuff. So, that's how hip hop works, right? So, when he sent me his stuff, that first single he sent me, which, it had a video where he was like, partying in the crib and all that stuff. It was like, it was dope because to me, it was just like, I don't know how to explain it. It was organic, it was like, it was just fresh, and not like not like hip hop fresh, but like fresh and just, it's refreshing, to see that. And he just was such a natural. But I know he hates to hear it from me, but I am constantly reminding him that he keeps me on my toes, that his syllable game is unlike fucking anybody I know. And, he's so ill with his schemes, when he's connecting, 6 bars together, those first 2 bars, will have a syllable train to go with it, but then he comes around in the 5th and 6th and connects the scheme with all of it together. And that is just like, it's dope to me because Bobby reminds me of how when Eminem and I were first coming up, we would sit in a car and like listen to Chino XL and like dissect a Chino XL verse. And when we first heard Chino, like No Complex, like when you listen to those schemes, that's Bobby J. Like that's where Bobby, like that, you hear the same stuff that we were listening for, like the stuff that was like, we were like MCs in training, and getting our bravado and stuff from rappers like Chino, or even like Corrupt with his crazy punchlines and metaphors. But then when you hear somebody that's, like Bobby coming up, I knew it right out the gate, like Bobby just has it, and there's those kids that, they want to rap, and back then I was in those chat rooms talking to so many different people from all around the country. And, they'd send you the link for their demo or whatever. And, 80% of it was trash, to be honest. I mean, yeah. It's, they were just, they wanted to be a part of hip hop in some way. But there's the people that want to be a part of hip hop. And then there's the people that are hip hop. Like, it's just in them, and then knowing that Bobby came up under like one of my favorite rappers of all time, tutelage of Kwame, he was already destined to do good. You know, the fate was in his, you know, in his pocket, because, you know, Kwame was always a student of the game. Yo, this is a legendary, you know, MC who came up with, you know, other legendary Queens MCs, you know, in the golden era. You know, if you come up under any rapper that was dope during the golden era, meaning maybe 88 to 94, you're gonna be good. And Bobby is, you know, for me, you know, being at this point pretty much a legacy artist, you know, for the city, Bobby's keeping me on my toes, man. And I tell him that all the time. The kid he's getting doper every bar, every song. So yeah, I mean, I knew it when it came out the gate. And I know that eventually we'd be working together? No, like it just, like Bobby said, like, you know, it was organic how it happened. But I knew, like I said, man, I just knew that with this kid, he could tell you, man, there's plenty times that, you know, he sends me a verse and I go, you motherfucker, like you're seriously, like, I gotta do this, like, I gotta match this, you know. But we have energy that works for us, you know. And there's only been one album that Detroit artists have worked with another city, and it wasn't really necessarily a city, it's more like a state, and it was Caltroit. And it was you know, there was all kinds of artists from Detroit and all kinds of artists from California, but there's never been anything, you know, with Mecca, you know, with New York. And so this was something that him and I just, you know, we just worked it being something special, you know.
You've said it in the past before, because of the people that influenced you growing up, the legends in the game, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap is someone that you really idolize in
Absolutely.
hip hop, even to
Yeah,
this day.
bro, Cool G Rap to me, like, I loved Big Daddy Kane, like, and I loved Ice-T. Ice-T was actually the rapper that got me to start rapping, because I saw him rap, you know, in a movie, you know. And I thought, and I was a breakdancer, and I thought, oh, I can rap now. You know, I'm like, oh, I can do it, you know. But Big Daddy Kane was just, he was everything to me. He was so smooth with it, you know, and he was just a player with the weight, and he had the swag and had all the bravado and all that stuff. But from where I'm from, Cool G Rap just matched Detroit energy for me. Like, it was like Road to the Riches and like Untouchable, you know, especially the remix for Untouchable. You know, the Wanna Dead or Alive album, like
456.
456. I mean, anything G Rap is on. I mean, you know, Bobby and I were just watching G Rap spit at Rock the Bells. And I was like, look at this dude. This dude is doing this shit flawlessly at this age, you know, still, like, it's just so natural for this dude. I've tried to even just lip sync some of them bars, and I can't do it, you know. But he would just, the toughness, the attitude, the bars are just so heavy with every Cool G Rap verse. Like, he's in the Hall of Fame first ballot. You know what I mean? Like, he's right out the gate. So, you know, Queens, I told Bobby this many times, Queens, MCs, it's just something about Queens. You know, I mean, it's Brooklyn has them, but Queens holds it down, man, to me, like, in hip hop. Queens just holds it down. From groups, you know, to all the other MCs that come out of Queens, man. I mean, you got Mobb Deep, you got
Nas, LL Cool J.
Tribe, Nas, LL, like Run DMC, like, it's hands down like the best borough to me when it comes to spitting bars.
I agree.
You know? And so having Bobby from Queens, like, just was icing on the cake, working on a project with somebody.
I agree. And then Queens is really up there. And just getting further into this, because Bobby J, I know you've said that this was just a never ending album, because Hush kept sending you beats for this. You thought it was it was never gonna end.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think once we hit our creative stride, and, you know, other people started coming into the fold, whether it be Daru Jones, whether it be Marv One, Rose Spit, Kwame, you know, Michael Fire, Rob Swift, whatever, like, it just added a whole other level of excitement. And I think it brought the standard up to an almost like unattainable level. Like we just were like, wow, man, like this really has to be something special, because every record that we were doing eclipsed the song that we did before it. You know what I mean? Like it was we it really just kept getting better and better and better. And it took for me to like almost be like the, I guess, like the executive producer at a certain point and be like, all right, we have enough songs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like literally, like if a line wasn't drawn in the sand, and I totally understand why Hush wanted to keep doing songs, but like if a line wasn't drawn in the sand, we'd probably still be working on this album
I
to this
still want
day.
to work on something like I don't want to
And
stop,
and
bro.
and in a way, we still are. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Like
true.
it's you know what I mean? Like
It took wait, hold on. It took my keyboard to break down to finally put a stop at everything we're doing, because once my sampler went down, we got no, I got no beats. I can't make
right.
nothing.
Like yo, like honestly, man, like I know a lot of very talented artists like that are, all they could focus on is the creative process and making songs, and that's the only thing. They're almost afraid to put music out, and it's what stifles them. It's what stifles the world from hearing their talent, because they're in a constant state of creativity and don't know when to say, okay, I have an album now. You know what I'm saying? And I see that happen to other people, and I don't want that to happen to us. You know, there needs to be an adult in the room. And sometimes I gotta, trade the hat in for a suit and tie and be like, listen, the album's done. Now we got to think about A, B, C, and D. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not my first rodeo. I think in Hush's case, it's not his first rodeo, but I think his last album was in 2014, and a lot, that might as well have been 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things have changed in that time, and the way records are promoted, the way albums are put out. I think we had to kind of pool our resources and our knowledge collectively to think about, all right, album's done, how are we going to roll this out, who's doing the artwork, how are we going to get the videos done. Like there's a whole, I knew that once the album is done, that's just step one. There's a whole myriad of things that need to happen after the album's mixed and mastered before you could even think about putting it out. And I know that sometimes that could take months. So I didn't want to take something that was already turning into basically like a year and a half of work, to be extended to 2.5 years. And I knew the work that needed to be done in order for it to be done properly. So, and like for me, I hate sitting on music. And the last project I put out before this album was in July of 2021. So like I just get very jittery, and I want to put shit out. So, I think there was a need. After a certain point, we had like 20 songs done, and I'm like, yo, we narrow this down to the best records. Like we got a fucking in my opinion, a classic album. You know what I'm saying? Like if we trim the fat here, there's not a skippable song on this album. And there's push and pull, and me and Hush butt heads sometimes, but I think at the end of the day, we both understand what the goal is, and that the goal is it's to make the best album we possibly can make. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we care about the music, and I think we're both very happy with what the finished product of this album is.
I know, Bobby J, this was a special album for you because your father's from Detroit. He went to university out there in Detroit. Your
Yep.
grandparents lived in Michigan, so you were going out to Michigan strictly to those suburbs at a young
Yep.
age. And when you started going out to Detroit to record the album, Hush was bringing you out and showing you all over Detroit. Was there any particular albums that you studied for this particular? Because you're already a student of the game, but was there any particular albums that you were studying from the Detroit area and Queens to make sure that this was really rooted and really paying homage to both places?
I don't know if there's any albums in particular. I just know that um Detroit artists had a big impact on me, man. I mean, the Dilla Donuts album, obviously Eminem, Slim Shady LP, Marshall Mathers LP, the D12 Underground EP was a huge album for me. Guys like IQ,
Isham.
Esham, and it's funny because like Esham, I remember talking to Kwame about doing this album, and he mentioned Esham because him and Esham used to open up for him on tour back in the 80s. So and also he has a very close he had a very close relationship with MC8 as well. MC8 helped him a lot, when Kwame lost his deal and was trying to get an independent deal in the 90s. So, just me as a fan, like I always respected Detroit as a city like Philly, like where, Philly isn't New York, but they have that fucking tenacity in terms of, yeah, we're not New York, but we fucking rap virtually better than you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like Detroit is a city with a lot to prove, and like going out to Detroit and recording in Detroit only further solidified that for me, because I'm just amazed at the level of talent that exists out there, and it's a very small, close-knit group of people, but everybody supports each other, everybody works together. But like, you could see it, man. Like Elzai, Eminem, Royce the 5'9", Guilty Simpson, Black Milk, Hush, fucking Paradigm. Like these guys, like they don't fucking play around. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of New York rappers tend to be pompous and tend to kind of underestimate what people from other cities can bring to the table. And it's like, yo, I think everybody that rapped on this album that's from Detroit, like the reason my verses sound the way they do is because I'm trying to keep up with them. So, like I just have a lot of respect for Detroit as a city. And I know the feelings mutual with Hush about New York. You know what I'm saying? Like we're the birthplace of hip hop. You just mentioned Cool G Rap. Like I'm sure everybody from Detroit raps the way they do because they want the people in New York, the people that are the highfalutin, pompous dudes that are like, there's no
New
other
York is the bar for us.
right. You know what I'm
New
saying?
York
Like
is the bar for us. Like,
as much as other regions hate that New York is like that, I would have to say that attitude, that pompous attitude is what made them so much have to be so much nicer. It's almost like being white in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to be twice as nice as the next guy because I'm a white rapper. You know what I mean? So on one end you could hate it, but at the same time, it's like that's the type of attitude that keeps you on your toes. That's what keeps you working hard because you want the respect. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, this album's a celebration of both, regions. So
Hush mentioned before, and I agree just listening to this album, that you've only gotten better with time since I first met you and really dissected your catalog. What keeps you going and you're striving to get better each way? Because sometimes an artist, they hit a peak and you haven't hit your peak yet. You keep going and getting better with age.
Surrounding
he's
myself
got
with
the formula now. That's what it is.
yeah. I mean, I honestly, like, I think fear of falling off is number one. Number two is I try to surround myself with people that I think are better than me, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to rap. I'm not one of those guys that's like wants to be the only nice rapper in the room. Like there's a lot of rappers that I know personally that I think are incredible. And it's hard to find inspiration. It's hard to find inspiration, especially with new music, where you listen to something that makes you want to write. And I think the biggest motivating factor for me is like being in the studio with somebody that I know is a fucking problem and is gonna bring their A game. And it's like, the pressure's on, like I gotta perform, that type of creative energy keeps me going. And it's like, you can't be the best unless you play against the best. So, I champion myself as like a rapper that, I'm not intimidated by other rappers. I recognize when other people are dope, and I'm not afraid to jump on a song with somebody that I perceive to be on my level or better than me. You know, I think at the end of the day, it's only making me better, even if someone outshines me. You know what I'm saying? Like that only helps me get better. So, you know, I got to keep myself surrounded with like-minded people that are trying to be the best at what they do, you know?
Hush, I want to touch on your life story because you have an amazing journey and just starting all the way from the beginning because you were listening to hip hop when you were 12 on the radio, 107.5 out there. Billy T was the DJ that you were listening to and you formed a friendship with.
Yeah, Billy T was the only. I mean, we had hip hop on the radio, but it was like they had like we had a DJ who went by the name The Wizard, and he ended up being behind the scenes. It was Jeff Mills, who is like one of the greatest techno DJs, house DJs, electro DJs on the planet, who is virtually at this point trying to find him anywhere is very hard to see him anywhere because he's so overseas and whatever. But the Wizard, when I was a kid, always played, you know, like Egyptian Lover and Planet Rock, and always played like Run DMC. But Billy T specifically had an hour-long rap show on 107.5 from like midnight till 1 o'clock called Rap Tracks. And he played, he played usually one Detroit song locally. And then the rest was just, you know, pretty much at that time was all New York hip hop, you know, like whether it was, I mean, G-Rap or Kane or, you know, whoever. So that was the only, pretty much the only outlet we had, you know, of actually listening to full-blown songs of hip hop on the radio when I was coming up. And it's funny because that's the connection Bobby and I have is through Kwame, because you know, at one point a friend of mine had went to New York and got a mixtape, brought it back here on cassette, dubbed it and played it for everybody in the neighborhood. And this one song that Kwame had was The Man We All Know and Love. And I just fell in love with that song. And I kept trying to get Billy T, who I was friends with, through calling in on his radio show constantly. I was just a kid. I was always bugging him all the time. And I tried to get him to play the record. And he was like, nope, nope, nope. And I just bugged him for like 2 weeks. And finally he was like, all right, I'll play it. But if I play it, I'm gonna play it on a Pump It or Dump It segment. I was like, great. Because I know I kept telling him like, they're gonna pump it. So Billy T played it. Of course, every caller that called in was like, you know, this is dope. This is fresh. You need to pump it. Well, then he played it consistently for like 2 months. Well, then Kid and Play came to town. And who did they bring out on stage? It was Kwame.
Kwame.
Brand new. Never, like, this was like his first time in Detroit ever. And he came out, dropped his shorts. He had on polka dotted boxers. He starts doing they let him do The Man We All Know and Love. The whole crowd in Cobo Arena knew every word and were singing along with him. So basically, like, if it comes down to it, I tell Kwame this to this day, like, I broke his record in Detroit. And, you know, I got to meet Kid and Play back then. They were on tour with, you know, Salt and Pepper. And I was backstage. And, you know, and then, you know, through Bobby, when I got my deal on Geffen, Kwame had now turned into K1, the producer. And Bobby had connected me with him on trying to get some beats so I could try to see if there was something I could, you know, put on my album. You know, and then we got to talking and I got to tell him that connection, which was so dope. You know, this was, like I said, like one of my idols growing up. You know, and I laugh with Billy T nowadays, like whenever I see him, like, you know, about those back in those days when I was just a kid, you know, calling in. I mean, I bugged the shit out of Billy T all the time. Like, but Billy T really respected, you know, that I knew what I was talking about, because there was so many songs that he would ask my opinion. And I just knew, like, this is hot. this isn't hot. This is hot. This is fresh. This isn't, you know, and so eventually my statistics leaned that I knew what I was talking about, because those records always ended up becoming major hits, you know, Road to the Riches being one of them. You know, I was one of the people who helped critique that on the radio here, you know. So Smooth Operator, another one that I knew what I was talking about, you know, and Billy would play those records. Well, Billy T went on to become like a major DJ here in Detroit, you know, so we forged a friendship throughout the years, and Billy T is a radio legend. If he's not in the Hall of Fame, he'll be in it one day for sure. And but yeah, man, all those records back in the day that I grew up on were always New York hip hop. You know, once in a while there might be a, you know, an Ice-T record that gets thrown in there, Colors, you know, being one of them, or 6 in the Morning, or, you know, but you know, I mean, that's when I was coming up, and I was just, you know, that's what I was coming up to. So yeah.
You've also credited Easy B and DJ Los Untouchable as an inspiration to you as well, as far as getting into really rapping.
Bro, I am friends with Los to this day. Los is on our record. He did the cuts on Oh Yeah with Lil D. Los and I forged a friendship later on in life, maybe probably 8 years ago. We had to do this Detroit segment for B Shine. B Shine came out to Detroit, and we did like a whole Legends segment and whatever, and freestyle, and Los was there, and I got to sit down with him and actually tell him, like, listen, man, when I was coming up, like, for me looking to be a rapper and not having a clue as to how to even go about that or anything like that, I used to see these guys like in the mall, just walking around, big dookie chains on, and, you know, all just fresh, just rocking, you know, whatever it may be on. They had the same, you know, jackets, and man, these guys were rap superstars to me. And to see them in my neighborhood, you know, in my neighborhood mall, and then hear them on the radio, the song Untouchable, they had an album called Untouchables, and they just were everything to me. And Los's dad is Carlos Butch Small, who went on to do all the percussion over all the Death Row music. So Los already had teeth in the game as a youth. He was doing stuff with a lot of Detroit legends, Awesome Dre and the Hardcore Committee, who I saw become one of the first Detroit acts to have a deal. He had a record deal through Priority. You know, and then just like I said, just seeing these guys all around, and I was able to see Los 8 years ago and have that talk with him and tell him what a big influence they were for me, because they were the ones that showed me, yes, I can do this. You know, like, I'm sure, I don't know how Bobby feels about it, or, you know, how Bobby perceives it in his, you know, where Bobby came from. But I know that, you know, obviously New York rap is, I mean, if I was from Mecca, I mean, man, I'd be, you know, you have so much influence. You got 5 boroughs of influence there, you know, who crafted and created a full culture. Detroit, we didn't really have that. So like the little bits and pieces that we had of the beginning stages of this Detroit hip hop culture, for me to see that was so like, oh my God, it was like I was from New York, seeing G-Rap or Big Daddy Kane in my neighborhood, you know, like, so, you know, those guys really showed Detroit how to do it, you know, in that sort of way. Easy B, he ended up, I think he caught a case, and he's been held down, you know, for a long time. But Los has held us down out in the streets, DJing for everybody. I mean, he's been on tour with Royce. He's been Royce's tour DJ. You know, he's really stayed in the game. And, you know, and his dad, like, you know, his dad's been a part of the game and still is. You know, his dad's still out here doing stuff with people. So, yeah, it was a major moment for me as a kid.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned an important thing, 5 boroughs of influence. And Bobby J, I want you to shine in this. Do you feel as though we still have the 5 borough of influence today with newer artists? Because we have to look at artists like you, and then we even have to go up upstate now because of the Griselda guys, and then you have to look at Harlem for guys like Dave East. How do you feel about the influence of the five boroughs now with newer artists? Because nowadays it's all one trendy sound and what people are doing on social media. And I always say this, I feel as though social media is kind of ruining hip hop in a way where they're just giving exposure to what people or how many numbers people are doing on social media. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I don't know if it's as influential on people from my generation, maybe younger kids, because to be honest with you, I I really don't know what artists are from New York anymore, much less what borough they rep. Like I know Dave East is from Harlem, I know ASAP Rocky's from Harlem, I think Lil TJ's from Queens and shit like, I know certain shit, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like when I was growing up where you knew a rapper was from Brooklyn. Little Fame is from fucking Brooklyn. Smith and West, they're from Brooklyn. Nas is from Queens, Fat Joe's from the BX. Like it's just not and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just a product of rap just not becoming less regional and more of just like a kind of we're all in this together type of thing where you hear a rapper and you really can't like it's beyond New York. You hear a rapper and you really can't discern where a lot of these guys are from. To
No.
be honest with you, like it's just such a uniform sound throughout the entire culture of rap music at this point that it's almost kind of been stripped of its identity, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. And it's also on multiple levels. Like, you know, I can even go as far as saying like producers. Like I just remember listening to when you would listen to producers in the 90s or the early 2000s, like you would hear a beat and you go, oh, Pharrell did that. Oh,
Dilla did
Eminem
that.
did that.
Primo did that.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it
Primo
was
did
so
that.
easy
Oh,
to tell who
that
did
that
what.
that's a Pete Rock. Oh, that's a Dilla beat.
Boo,
You know what I'm
boo.
saying? Like there's
Neptune.
there was a signature, like
Yeah.
as a producer or just regional, you'd be like, oh, that producer's from Atlanta, or that producer's from Texas, or that producer's from the West Coast or whatever. Like there was just subconscious shit that you would pick up on that would let you know where those producers were from, or what produce, or if somebody really had their own style, you could tell where they were from. Even with rappers, the way they would say certain words or their dialects or the way they would rhyme, like, oh, that's a LA rapper. Oh, that's an Atlanta rapper. Oh, that's a Midwest rapper. That's a New York rapper. Like, to be honest with you, man, I don't know if it's just a symptom of me getting older or maybe tuning out a little bit. I just don't see those distinctions anymore. It's not as easily identifiable to say, oh, that's an like I wouldn't know some of these kids were from New York if I didn't read about it or they explicitly said it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Like I'm not making a statement of I'm not making a statement of that's good or that's bad. Maybe it's good because it's just kind of we're all in the same gang and whatever. Like it doesn't matter anymore. Whereas back in the days, there was almost beef between regions, and there was beef between regions, but it was just kind of like, this is our shit. Don't copy our shit. This is the Atlanta sound. This is the New York sound. This is the West Coast sound. This is the Midwest sound. And people were overprotective of it. And if you tried to sound like somebody else,
You were
you were
biting.
biting.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really think that matters anymore. I think everything now is just open source, especially with the internet and social media and the way music spreads like wildfire. It's
Yeah,
not it's
let me
not
jump in here because
abnormal.
I think my generation missed the boat on holding people's feet to the fire on what the sound is supposed to be regionally. It's like he said, like you knew the Atlanta sound, You knew the LA sound. You knew that LA had like that gang culture sound, right? Because most of it, they were all friends or related or whatever, gang bang together, whatever it may be. New York, they rep their borough. You knew what came out of that. And you also heard it, you know, lyrically. They were, you know, everybody was quick to say where they were from, you know. You know, when you hear Lil Fame or you hear you know, MOP yell Brownsville, you know, you knew, you know, this isn't a place to be fucked with. Like that, and they maintain that. But I think my generation, we allowed it to breathe too much, right? And not in a purposeful way. Like we did it just thinking that it was going to be better, right? For hip hop, that the more it's spread out and the more everything that we kind of, I think my generation also got lost thinking that you know, it was like an automatic thing that everybody knew what they should be doing or how they should be repping or whatever it may be. And the new people coming up, they just heard something and they attached to it and then they rap like it, you know. I mean, there are some New York rappers, they sound like they're from the South. They don't even sound like they're from New York. And that always bugs me out because I hear it and I'm like, bro, like, I'm thinking to myself, why do you rap? Why is your style like that? You know, like that's like, yo, man, I'm a trap rapper. Well, wait a minute, because there's New York trap. I hear New York trap. There's Chicago drill, right? But now people are latching onto the drill thing and just, you know, and the South is putting drill beats, rapping over drill beats. And it's so discombobulated now that, you know, we talk about rap sometimes, you know, like I talk about it with my son, he's going to be 27, that sometimes I think that rap should be subgenred out, right? The same way rock music is. He's like, fuck that, never. Rap is rap. That's just the way it is. Like it should not be ever, no, because then you're putting a stranglehold on what people, you know, what it should be. And I'm like, yeah, but if this is the way this is the way it was built and this is the way it was made, at some point we got to like pull the reins in a little bit. But, you know, to his credit, you know, he also, you know, that's his generation. If that's what they want to do, then we got to hope that they're going to make it better. Right. That's the way I've always seen hip hop. Like who are we to really tell people how it's supposed to be also? Because we wanted, when we were coming up, at first we didn't want any brands attached to us. We didn't want to be doing commercials, you know, and now look at hip hop now. This is $1 trillion industry, you know, and if we had held the reins on it, a lot of people wouldn't be eating. And now everybody gets a chance to eat. And people are now at the point where they can do it on their own. They can do it in their home. They can distribute it on TuneCore. They can go out and sell merch. They can do so many different things that when I was coming up, like Bobby said, there was a formula that I was used to. And, you know, thank God that I have a partner like Bobby J, you know, who showed me, you know, look, man, this is the new way and you got to trust me on this. And I trusted him, man. And we broke the top 25 on iTunes hip hop chart. And that was a big deal for me. I've been on Billboard at number 83, but I've never cracked anything like that. And somehow Bobby, you know, was able to show me like, yo, if we do it this way, you got to trust me that, you know, we're going to do this way. If we had followed my way, it would have been totally different. You know, I would have saw a different outcome. So, you know, we all know the definition of insanity, you know, right? So it's just about, some people got to accept change and just hope that we do better on it, you know, and show our boroughs, our cities, where we're from, and still rep where we're from to the highest, fullest, you know, that we're supposed to. A lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people want to just latch onto a sound that's attached to a region without repping who they're from. and because they think it's cool or it's trendy or whatever. Those kind of people I could do away with, bro. I don't really want to see them in this in our culture, because that's just biting, that's just trying to grab a fast dollar, because it is what it is. But the true blue ones, they'll always rep where they're from. Bobby has a Detroit sound, man. I think Bobby, even though he's from Queens and he reps Queens, bro, when Bobby gets on a Detroit track, he sounds like a Detroit rapper. There's plenty of songs we've done that I've been like, damn, this dude could have grew up at 7 Mile,
Yeah,
but he still reps Queens to the fullest.
he
Far
does.
Rock, he's rocking the hat, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who reps Far Rock the way this dude does, man, for real.
Oh yeah, and even MC Serch is taking a liking to him, and you actually have some upcoming work with MC Serch. Congratulations on that, Bobby Jab. And I recently peeped your stuff because I've been so out of touch with social media because I stay away from it just because of, for my sanity.
Right.
But I went back and did my research here and just
Good
caught up
idea.
with
Good
the
idea.
while, and you've been working, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out to MC Serch. We just did a video last Friday. Hush was in town. I was down in Orlando around his way about a week before, shooting down there. We got a record called Round Here about to come out. It's produced by my boy Chrome, which was actually the guy that kind of not brought us together, because we had a rapport for maybe a year or two before this song came about. But he was the producer that sent me the song. Serch was already on it. He's like, yo, you want to get on it? I put a hook on it. I put a verse on it. Serch heard it. He loved it. He, wanted to redo his verse. He redid his verse, and the song's amazing. We got a video about to come out. I think it's the first single that Serch is putting out as a solo artist in like 27 years. So, obviously being from Rockaway Beach and just, being a part of the hip hop scene out here, to have a cosign from somebody that, paved the way, not only for me, but just for really white rappers in general. You know what I mean? Like, aside from Third Base, it was the Beastie Boys, you know what I mean? So it was a very surreal moment to, not just to have a friendship with MC Serch, but to put a song out with them and shoot it in my neighborhood and have people from my neighborhood come through and get to experience that with everybody. It was just an amazing day. So, yeah, man, like, the utmost respect to him, what him and Third Base did. I wouldn't be here without them. Hush wouldn't be here without them. So, and for me to involve Hush in it was really special as well, because I know Hush was a big Third Base fan. So, it was just a cool day, man. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for people to hear the song, man. Serch
And he had Detroit roots because he was a radio DJ here.
That's right. After his
years.
hip hop career, went out and did some on air work.
Yeah.
The Cactus. That's one of the all time great albums.
Bro, that was a classic out the gate. Oh my God. Cactus was so influential to me. Oh my God.
The Gas Face, Stepping in the AM.
Bro, Words of Wisdom, Triple Stage Darkness, like that album was, and the production was fire, like the skits were fire, like everything was fire about that.
Oh yeah, it's just one for the history books with that album that we look back on, a classic for hip hop for sure. And Hush, you've had your stories of the past, and with the Ruckus, We Shine, but you heard Jay Dilla play Players for the first time.
Oh yeah, Jay Dilla came into St. Andrews Hall. House Shoes, DJ House Shoes was DJing that night, and Dilla used to do this thing where he would come straight from the studio, and he'd bring the DAT machine with him. People don't know what a DAT machine is. It was just like a little micro cassette that we used to mix our records right to a DAT, and we'd use it either for mastering or we'd use it for performances. So we would put our performances on a DAT machine, and that's how we played it. This was like pre-CDs. And Dilla would always bring his DAT machine to St. Andrews on a Friday, straight from the studio. If he thought he had a hot one, he brought it to St. Andrews. We had a night on Friday nights called 3 Floors of Fun. So it was like 3 floors. We had the shelter in the basement, which was usually like rock night. Then we had St. Andrews, which was all hip hop, and then on the third floor was techno and house. And we would just jump from, whatever. But this night, Dilla brought in the DAT machine and he played Players. Bro, I could tell you, I visually can see everything that happened in that moment. Like, I watched all of us go to the front of the stage because anytime Dilla was playing something, we were like, oh shit, Dilla's here. Like, I know he's about to drop something. And then he always had the DAT machine under his arm. He'd be walking with his little short ass, get up on the stage, plug it in, dap up House Shoes. House Shoes get on mic, yo, I need everybody to come to the motherfucking front of the stage. And if people weren't fucking listening, it was like, scared with the needle, and he'd just stop the music. Yo, I know you motherfuckers are heard me. I said, get to the front of the stage. Everybody walked to the front. And then boom, he dropped Players. And right out the gate, like we just were like, yo, that fucking record's out of here. Like, it's crazy. And soon as the record's done, unplug, Dilla just take the fucking tap machine and walk right out the building. Dilla never stayed at 3 Floors of Fun. Friday nights was like our night. Never, I mean, he would just come in, play it to see what reaction he'd get, but 100% of the time he got the reaction he was looking for anyway. I heard him play Look of Love for the first time. I was there when they performed the intro that's on Look of Love on Fantastic. That the little, they recorded that. Like, yeah. And then our boy, DL Jones, who produced Living This Lifetime and is singing on, I produced it, but he's singing on Living This Lifetime on our album. DL Jones recorded the Fantastic album for Slum Village. So he was there. So we have a lot of history with Dilla. I did a show with Dilla in Miami. There used to be a thing called the Winter Music Conference, and it was like everybody would go down during the winter. It was like October or November, I forget when it was, and we'd all go to Miami, South Beach, and it was like just everybody from all over, college, radio, independent artists, major artists, and we were all on doing shows and stuff. And it was me, Dilla, Frank and Dank, and Bahamadia. Oh, and Fat Cat. And did a show down there. And Dilla was my man. Dilla and I grew up together as kids, as little kids, like 6 years old, 7 years old, playing baseball and football and all that stuff in our backyards and stuff. Wow. And then there was a period where we didn't know each other. You turn 9 and then you stop hanging with that person, and then you move, and we stopped hanging until it wasn't until later on that I found out that this was my childhood friend, that Dilla was and along with T3 from Slum Village, we were childhood friends, which was just crazy. And then we grow up to be rappers and have our little fame, and it's like, it's the wildest shit in the world. They went to Pershing High School. My mother went to Pershing High School. So we all had this big connection, So, there's things that I listen to, there's some things that I do production wise that once it's done, I'm like, damn, that's something Dilla might have, influenced me to do, like for me, greatest producer of all time, bro.
Agreed. Rest in peace. He's truly the greatest. I agree with you on that. I would love to hear the first time that you met Eminem, because he's a good friend of yours, just coming up.
First time I met him, I got introduced. I started the Ruckus. I had a group partner before Uncle Ill, who's with me now, and was with me in the 90s. Early 90s, I had another person who started the group with me, and he was doing some solo stuff. The guy that was producing him and his solo stuff was this guy named Mannix, who was actually part of Basement Productions, which was the company and the production crew that M was in, that when Soul Intent and all of that stuff was going on. And I got to meet Mannix, and Mannix and I were both using an ASR 10, and we were both just talking to each other about production or whatever. And I had heard about M through another friend of mine, Champtown. And Champtown had kind of like tried to put M on early on in M's career. Like took Eminem to Paisley Park because Champtown had a relationship with Prince, and Prince would let him use the studio at Paisley Park. So he took Eminem with him. They went and recorded some songs. They did a song called I can't remember the name of it right now, but they did a few songs that ended up on a Soul Intent album. And then it just didn't work out between those two. They had some beef, and I didn't really know M at the time, but I knew Champ because Champ and I went to high school together. So then I hanging out with Champ. Champ was telling me all this bad stuff about M. I didn't really know him like that. And I tried to mend their friendship. They were trying to mend their friendship and come figure out a way to make it work. And it just was, they were just butting heads and whatever. And I put my 2 cents in. I put my Detroit 7 Mile Street sense into the middle of that, when I probably should, looking back now, I probably should have just kept my mouth shut. But we ended up in a fist fight at some point. And dude, like 2 weeks later, we were best friends. We saw each other at 3 Floors of Fun, got together in a corner, chopped it up, and he was like, yo, like, we can squash this right now. And I was like, yeah, dude, like, this, I'm down, like, you know. And I think we both recognized each other's talent. Like, I like dude, like, I thought he was nice on the mic, you know. And really, that's all I wanted to be around at St. Andrews and 3 Floors of Fun. Like, you know, everything you see in 8 Mile that happened between Rabbit and
Wink's character, it
Wink.
was based on when he got the broken nose. That was
Yes,
you.
that's me.
Yeah.
So you know, but that whole scene, that's all. I mean, it didn't happen in the radio station, but I mean, that's what happened between us. And Wink's based on Champ and I. You know, Champ tried to get him kept on telling me he was going to get him a record deal, you know, and then I was the one who got into the fight with him. So it was like a combined, you know, whatever. But M and I became like really close because we really realized we had way more in common than we actually thought. Like, we were both, you know, both of our firstborns they were born 2 weeks apart. Both our baby mamas were pregnant at the same time. We were both jobless. We were both homeless at one point. We were both sharing the same couch in and out of the same house at one point. So, you know, we had so much in common through our friends or whoever else. You know, when I wasn't sleeping on that couch, M was sleeping on that couch. You know, I just didn't know it, because then I'd find some other place to live, and then he would flop at my boy's house. So it was just like, you know, so we just realized that, but more so, we really respected each other as MCs, and really grew a way to bond through rap. You know, like I would drive him around to all the hip hop spots that he was afraid to go to, but I had a pass to go into them. So I'd be like, yo, bro, come on, let's go. We're going in here. Oh man, what are we going in here for? I'm like, yo, it's open mic. Let's go jump on this mic. Like, so then I'd get in there and I'd talk to the man at the door, like, yo, this is my dog, blah, 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 let him spit tonight. All right, cool, come on in. Then we come in, you know, and it was intimidating for him because, you know, it was grimy clubs in the D. And he never wanted that. I think he was, you know, maybe afraid if some beef popped off, you know, and shots might ring out. You never knew with some of these grimy spots we went to. But bro, the minute he got on the mic, everybody's like guard just went down, like, oh my God, like, you know, everybody just like loved this kid, you know. And you know, I would take him to like ICP shows and have him sell his cassettes, you know, and you know, he'd get into fights with some of the fans in the crowd, you know. But we had a really good run as friends, man, for real. Like just on some real, you know, real rap shit. Like, you know, I was rapping about, I was like super anti-government when I first started rhyming. So my stuff was like all about, you know, just real deep shit. And he loved that, but he would never rap like that. So that's why he liked it. Cause, you know, he had his way and I had my way, but we would be, you know, Bobby can tell you, we'd be freestyling with each other all the time, you know, and he would help you know, I'd say something, he'd go, man, you need to say it a little bit like this. You need to bend this word at the end like this. You should say this. And then I would tell him the same thing, like, nah, that line's whack. You should say it this way, you know, whatever. So we were always trying to challenge each other, you know, and then we made the only song we ever did together back then, We Shine, which was actually a Proof beat. And Proof ended up rapping on the beat that I gave M. But We Shine, it blew up for us. Like, you know, nationwide, the public loved it. We got on a lot. This was like when blogs first started. You know, a lot of blogs put us in their top 10 with that song. And to this day, you know, I still get a lot of love from overseas. People want the record. I have some of the vinyl still. So people always, you know, want to buy the vinyl, get it signed and stuff like that. And you know, and that all led to, We Shine led to his line in Stan, when Stan says, I like that shit you did with Ruckus too, that shit was fat. Because he was finding himself on a Slim Shady tour, going overseas or wherever, and people coming to him with the We Shine vinyl or the Ruckus cassette or the Ruckus CD, asking him to sign our CD. And he'd be like, what the fuck is this? And, you know, and then I'd see him and he'd be like, bro, you know, you realize I'm signing as much of your shit as I'm signing my own shit. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't really have that much out. You know, but pre-Slim Shady LP, the only thing he had was the EP, and that was like a limited run of whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, that all led to some really good things, man. That friendship you know, led to him doing a couple beats on my major release on Bulletproof, and then being in my video and being, you know, and you know, singing a hook on Off to Tijuana, and great times and memories in my life, man. I wouldn't trade them for anything, man. They taught me a lot as a kid, and, you know, and how to be with people, and how to, you know, the things that I learned from that experience, I carry with me to this day, you know, and they helped me a lot. You know, I can honestly say, man, that kid helped me become a better MC, you know, as a lyricist. I focused on a lot of other things pre him that I shouldn't have been focused on, and he helped me. So, you know, I always give that kid props, man. I love that kid.
Yeah, one of the greatest to ever do it. And the trending topic now with the Game dissing him for the Black Slim Shady. I just want to ask, I want to ask you this question about it. Do you think Eminem will respond, and should he?
No, we should.
I don't think he should, but I think he will, just because the MC in him. And if it was somebody on a lower level, nah. And if he would respond, it would be just to spank him. You know what I mean? That, like, get out of here, little boy, you know, go back to your corner. But somebody like Game, who is heralded, you know, as a dope MC by a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, Game's dope. I like I like a lot of his songs. The diss is whack as hell, but, you know, 10 minutes of, I mean, it's ridiculous, you know, and so I think M will respond just because of where Game is on that list of people's respect as an MC, you know, but this is going to show people that, yo, your man's out of line. You know what I mean? Like, your man is out of line, bro. You know, like, even Haley had to step in and said something like, you know, who has to respond to my dad that takes 10 minutes of a, you know, if it was like a 2-minute, like almost like the way that, like, one of the dopest back and forth battles, which is so funny to me, was like that, you know, the Everlast M battle. Mm-hmm. That shit was fire because it was they were real songs. You know, they were only, you know, 2.5, 3 minutes. I mean, I know he made one, I think that was like 5 minutes long or whatever, because he put D12 on it. But when Dilated responded to M, it was like 216 bars and they were done. That was it. You know, when Evidence like said something or whatever, and it didn't even go anywhere after that. So if anybody ever disses M, I'm always like, yo, if you take 10 minutes, if you take longer than 3 minutes, you're reaching, bro, for real. You're trolling them at that point.
Yeah.
I don't think he should respond, because I just think that, you know, the more he does things, it kind of lessens his brand sometimes. You know, that's the way I feel about it. Like, there's a lot of shit he did that I don't think he should have did. You know, that messes with the brand. You know, but the MC in him,
sometimes the best response is no response, man.
yeah. Bobby thinks it's a love letter from Game.
I mean, listen, like the diss, the biggest takeaway from the diss for me was that Game is very clearly a huge Eminem fan.
Yeah.
And has studied his career, because the references that he was making were obscure references. Like when you're referencing Stir Crazy and songs that, you know, only like real hardcore Eminem fans know, like it just leads me to believe that this is more of like the motivation behind it seems to be just kind of clout chasing. And you know, he wants him, and for someone to get, it's almost like Jay-Z at the height of his career, like you think of the Takeover days, the only MC that he really responded to was Nas, but everybody and their mother was trying to get a piece of Jay-Z, and he was
Cameron and Jim Jones.
He was letting his little guys go after him. You know what I mean? The only person he deemed worthy of a response was Nas. So it's like when you're Eminem and you sold 100 million records, you know, just responding to somebody gives their career a boost. Like
absolutely,
MGK was probably happy as a pig in shit when Kill Shot dropped. And you saw, like, I mean, of course he's not making rap music anymore, but he
used it to his leverage.
He became a bigger artist after that than he ever was. Like, he's an A-list celebrity now.
Right.
And a lot of people, he's dating Megan Fox, man. Like
he knew how to use it. That's the thing. He knew how to use that and leverage it to become a bigger artist and person.
Right. I mean, it's really true what they say, man. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Like, it doesn't matter if people are talking about you, then
that's all that counts.
You've kind of already won. So
what do you think, Max? You think he should respond?
It's so tough because I'm a Game fan, and it hurt when he dissed Eminem because
I'm a Game fan too. Game fan too, but let's be honest. Game has a core audience, that's for sure. And Game has had a lot of very dope albums. I think he's an incredible rapper, but on a commercial level, he has not seen the success that he had with the documentary.
No,
I agree.
And his career as having big commercial records, I think that's kind of wave bye-bye. I think that he's going to have his core audience and he's going to put out dope albums. And again, I think he's a great artist for what he is. But I think what he's doing now is throwing Hail Marys and trying to get he's trying to get attention for his album. And
because look, he made a 10-minute song, and that's the only song that they're talking about on his 25 song.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. It'd be different. It'd be different if it was like a Drake back to back.
If there was hits on it,
and it was a hit, and they were playing it. If the Black Slim Shady was the biggest song in the club in the way that Back to Back was the biggest song in the club, or the biggest song on radio,
bro,
then Eminem would have to respond because
Back to Back won a Grammy. Think about that.
but because most the general reaction I've heard from just about everybody who's listened to it is it's cool, you know. And I think Eminem has his ear to the street and can see that the response isn't really, you know, people aren't like, yo, he murdered Eminem. Eminem's done. Like,
right.
Yeah, no.
Nobody's saying.
I mean, the M haters are automatically going to be like, oh,
yeah.
You know, there's those haters who just don't want to see M win at anything because he's had lulls in the last 10 years. Right. And so you got those people that they're waiting for somebody to go at him so that they can have another reason to hate on him.
Yeah.
You know, but you know what's crazy? You bring up Drake back to back. It's like, I don't understand how artists have not seen that as the staple now. This dude got a Grammy off of a reply diss, right? That if you're gonna diss anybody at this point, you should be taking notes off of what Drake and Meek and you know, and Pusha and all that whole big for 5 years of what we had right there of going back and forth, watching how that played out and what people learned from it and what they earned from it, right? Black Slim Shady is, what's that going to earn him on a 20-something song, you know, album? Bro, that should have been, if you're going to come out with something, that should have been like a back-to-back, like Bobby said, like that should have been a club banger, something that made people go, damn, like this song's a fucking hit. Like, and he's fucking got bars in there going at M. All that fucking shit where he's like rapping like M from 99. Like nobody wants to hear the voice, you know, type shit. I want to hear the fucking bars. If you're going to go at one of the greatest of all time, bro, you better come with it, because that dude, trust me, that dude, people don't understand how that guy works, man. That guy wakes up in the morning, goes to the studio at 8 a.m., takes the lunch at noon, only an hour, comes back to the studio at 1, goes back to work 1 to 5, gets off of work at 5. This is work. This isn't like, you know, like this isn't just fun. This is a real fucking job for this guy. 5 o'clock, goes home, has dinner. His engineer meets him back at the house at 7 o'clock. Then from 7 to whatever, he's still working on whatever it may be, production, lyrics, spitting, whatever, songs, mixing, whatever. Then he goes to sleep. He wakes up and he does the same fucking thing all over again. You know, there's a great story where Akon came into town to work on a record with him.
I heard that. That's a great
bro. And at like 7, Akon's chilling and fucking partying and whatever, and goes to the studio at 6 o'clock, and the people are like, he's gone, bro. What do you mean he's gone? He's gone for the day. Like, he's out at 5. What do you mean? They called him like, yo, man, where you at? Yo, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I've been at the studio 8 to 5. I take it as a job. It's my job. I punched in, I punched out. Akon's like, fuck, all right. And, you know, goes to the studio next day and sees like, yo, this dude is a fucking serious problem when it comes to this shit. You know, like I said, the lulls in between, and there's no reason. I mean, not everybody's fucking perfect. You know, you can't always expect somebody to be on their A game for fucking 30 years. You know,
Exactly.
this guy's got classic albums under his fucking belt. The guy's got fucking, I mean, look at how many records this guy's fucking sold. He's probably sold twice what Game sold, 3 times what Game sold. And so Game trolling him, Game should have easily, like I said, took, and I looked and saw how everything was working and said, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this, you know. And it's crazy to me that Game doesn't have somebody in his corner, you know, going, yo, bro, you should probably, you know, cut this down to this amount, or you shouldn't have said that, you know, or whatever. You know, you don't come at him with the voice. You know, that shit is garbage to me. Like, anytime I hear people come back at M with that fucking voice that M used, I'm like, yo, you lost immediately. You know, like it'd be like, yo, like if Benny or like Conway came at M, now we're talking, right? Game's just a troll, bro. I mean, Game is like the biggest impersonator in rap.
It's funny because that's the strategy that Eminem used to use to diss other people, like how Eminem mimicked Everlast on I Remember and stuff like that. So in a way, he's dissing Eminem in the way Eminem would try to lampoon other people's styles. So there's just layers to, like, when I listen to it, like, yo, this guy, he's just a fan, man. Like realistically, like, he's just a fan. Anyway.
He's already said too, on many occasions, what, you know, this guy's on his list as, you know, as one of the greatest, and he's a problem and all this other stuff. So
Oh yeah, but to answer your question, Hush, yeah, I don't think he should drop a response. Just let it rock.
Yeah, that'd probably be the best thing to do.
Yeah. But Bobby J here, you know, I want to get more into what else you have coming up. You have a project with Neff on the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Hush is on it.
Yes.
It's me, you know, I think
Neff is a beast at
Yeah,
beats,
beast.
bro.
You know, me and Neff met through Static. We have a great relationship, man. Just somebody who I just see eye to eye with on a lot of things, just like on a creative level. And you know, every song I've done with Neff has been a moment for me. Like even on my first album, Summer Classics, like the first song Primo ever played of mine was an album cut off Summer Classics called Top Down, which is something that Neff produced. And it super bugged me out because that meant that Primo heard the whole album. It wasn't something that I put out, you know, for DJs to grab. He had heard the album. That was the song he gravitated to, and that was the song that he played. Like I heard it on the radio, and I almost crashed my fucking car. Um, and every song I've done with Neff after that, from the songs we've done on Endless Summer to the song Montauk that I did on his album, people have
Fire.
just been like, "Yo, like the songs keep getting better, better and better," and people have just been like, "Yo, you guys need to do more together." And it's just like when people keep telling you, you know, the same thing and pushing you in the same direction, you kind of got to listen to it. So over, you know, while we were wrapping up 7182313, he's like, "Yo," he reached out to me and was like, "I want to do a project together." So we started working on that probably last September. Like we're coming up on a year. I mean, the bulk of the project's been done for a couple months. We've got a couple new songs under the belt, but we've just been taking our time with it, trying to get as conceptual as we can. You know what I mean? Like try to tread on new ground that I haven't explored before. And like I said, we're very much on the same page in terms of like where we want to go musically and what our tastes are. You know, he's not just a hip hop guy like me. You know, we like other genres of music, and we kind of draw from the same influences. So um we're putting the finishing touches on that now. You know, working on getting artwork done, getting some videos done. We're thinking like we'll probably start rolling stuff out maybe in like October, November. But yeah, dude, this project I got with Neff is amazing, man. Like I think he's one of the most talented, most promising up and coming producers. I mean, like just his work over the past year, from what he's done with like Passport Rav, and then his work with Primo, like he's Primo's go-to guy. You know what I'm saying? Like he helped mix on the Kanye and Game record, ironically.
Easy.
You know, he did work on Primo's last EP. You know, he's working with him all the time. So um it's just really dope to see him kind of come from the humble beginnings that he did. Because when I first met him, it was through Static, and he was pretty much like he wasn't like an intern, but he was just doing like grunt engineer work in the studio. You know, so to see him kind of, you know, cut his teeth as a producer and like and become his own, make his own name for himself is crazy. So everything is kind of happening at the same time. So I'm
Has he
super
ever met
excited.
Royce?
Has he ever met Royce? Yes.
Because I was going to reach out to Royce and ask him if he has ever met Neff.
Yes, I think he was with Royce not too long ago. But you know, it's I know with Neff, it's you know, he's working with Preem, and it's a new relationship, and I think it's you know, he doesn't really tell a lot of people that, you know, it's something that he kind of keeps close to the chest, because you know, once people know you're working with somebody, people come out the woodwork and they want something.
Yeah.
And it's like, but yeah, man, he's
He's a beast though, bro.
beast, man. And Hush is on the record. I got my man YSP's on the record. FT is on the record. J57's on the record. Um, just dope, man. I'm super excited for people to hear it, you know.
I am too. I don't think I ever asked you this question, no, Bobby J. Are you looking to? Are there any labels reaching out to you, majors?
No. I think I'm at the point now where I'm just starting to get on people's radar. You know, I think the biggest label I've been associated with so far is I got a joint on my man Dom Dirty's album called DMX Energy. That
That's
came
right.
out on
Just released
Duck
the
Down.
visual for.
Yeah, that visual just came out for that. That came out on Duck Down. you know, Duck Down follows me now. Like for me, that's as a hip hop fan, that's like a feather in the cap, bucket list moment, you know, like
That
Duck
shit is
Down, like
hard body too.
Yeah.
what they've been behind and the artists that they put out, it's like it's an honor, you know what I'm saying? Like to be on an album that they're behind. For me at this point, you know, I feel like I still have a ways to go. I think when the time does come to actually sign to somebody, I want to be in a position where I have the leverage to get a deal that I think is fair. You know, it's like I've at one point in my life, getting a record deal was like all I cared about. And I think now, you know, it's just not something I care about. Or when it does happen, it'll just happen at the right time. And you know, I'm more concerned with building my own fan base, building what I'm doing independently. I don't think I'm at the spot where I need to be at yet. I think things are definitely changing for the better for me. You know, I was saying the other day, um, you know, I'll go out now and I'll meet other rappers or I'll meet other producers. And the one difference I notice now is like people know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like if I introduce myself, they know my name or they know my music or they fuck with my music. And that's a world of difference from where I was at a couple years ago, where it's like nobody really knew who I was. Like I was like completely unknown. So the one thing I'm seeing now is my work is starting to pay off a little bit, you know, at least in the circles that I run in. And because it's really like a classroom, like the people that make the type of music that I make, the rappers that are in the same zone as me, you know, it's not a huge group of people, but it's an influential group of people. So it's good that I can go out now and meet people and they at least have a base level awareness of what I'm doing or what my name is. So I think that's step one. You know, but I still got I still got a lot of ways to go, man. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And you know, I'm just trying to put in the work and earn my dues and get my respect. And I think when the time's right and the time comes, I think it'll happen. You know, I've approached labels in the past and I've worked with labels in the past. The deals that have been presented to me have been kind of one-sided and not really worth it. So, you know, if that's where I'm at now, it's not really, you know, a huge level of concern for me. I think you know, I'm better off just kind of playing it independent and doing the work and building the awareness and building the fan base. Because I think once you have the people and you have people supporting you, you know, buying your music or buying your merch or whatever, and you're actually doing it and you don't need the middleman, that's when you have the leverage to kind of negotiate something that's fair, you know?
Exactly. How was the wedding, man? Last time we talked, I don't even think you were engaged.
Oh shit. The wedding was great, man. The wedding, we just celebrated our year anniversary last
Congrats
week.
on that.
Yeah, yeah. Was it that long since we
Yeah,
started?
it's been that long. I've been independent for a year.
Damn, dude. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So you're not with St. John's anymore.
Nah, the ties were cut. I graduated. The ties were cut though.
Now
So
you're just continuing. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, man, you know, it's crazy, you know. I don't feel much different. I mean, we were pretty much married before, so you know, we were living together, so now it's just solidified. But you know, we're building a house and trying to get all that stuff done. So
He's got a dog.
got a dog. Yeah, man.
Sucker.
I'm living the adult life now.
He's
So
suckered in now.
Oh boy, yeah, he's so many things on the way for this guy, man. I'm happy to see him grow. I'm happy to see you back on the scene, Hush, and keep going out here. And I know he's inspiring you out here. Could we expect any solo work from you, a solo album? Because as Bobby J mentioned before, 2014 was the last solo album. But now that Bobby J's got you on your toes, could we expect a new album here?
Yeah, no question. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely it's in my brain. I'm trying to like figure out how, you know, how to execute it. I got a roadblock right now with my equipment down. So I'm trying to figure out how to maneuver around that. But you know, that bro, trust me, like before this happened, I was telling Bobby, like, yo, I quit, bro. Fuck this shit, man. I'm fucking done with this fucking industry, all of it. Like, I
yeah,
just wanted to chill, you know, like, I mean, it's just like, but you know, it's in your, it's in your blood, you know what I mean? And you just, it just takes somebody to inspire you. And when you got somebody like this kid, you know, in your corner that's pushing you, you know what I mean? Bro, that's just how this album happened, you know, like he was like, yo, let's just do a song, see what happens. You
Yeah,
know,
Hush,
and
Hush's
we
attitude has changed. I think from when we first started working to now, it's totally different. Like I think, you know, he's got a level of confidence and like drive to make music that I don't think was there before. You know what I'm saying? Like I
yeah, 1000%.
yeah, so which is
One
dope.
song turned to two, turned to three, turned to an album, you
Yeah,
know, and solo wise, I mean, I'm definitely gonna do an album.
right. And
Um,
it's dope for me to see like it's dope for me to see like I want him to go and do shit outside of what we do together. Like I love seeing that. Like he just did a feature for my boy Chrome. You know, like I love the fact that I could bridge him to other artists and or just that he wants to be out rapping again. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't we don't always need to be making music together. Or if he's like producing for other people, like I always push him like, yo, you should be out here, you know, producing for other rappers, you know what I'm saying? Because that's a whole other skill. That's a skill set that I don't have, you know? So I
yeah,
think
what's
it's
Vinny
cool.
Paz just asked me for a batch of beats,
Yeah. So
Jedi Mind Trick. So it's like yeah, it's dope, you know. But I mean, you know, I definitely want our group, you know, 718-2313. We're definitely gonna have to do a volume 2 at some point. Cause that's just dude, there's no way I'm going out when I'm fucking 80 years old with this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like that, bro, we're gonna fucking ride this shit till the wheels fall off. I don't give a fuck. Somebody's gonna have to tell me to quit at this point. You
yeah,
know,
it's
he
like and
he
that's
pushes
what
me,
it's
bro, and
about.
it's the
It's
best. He's like, bro, he's like become the big brother. Little brother turned to big brother, you know? And you know, it's dope, man. I love coming to New York. You know, I love being around this guy. I love being around his family. You know, that's the other thing to this. You know, you come into this game, man, and you make with friendships with people. You know, sometimes you just make acquaintances. You know, because you rap. You rap. Oh, I rap. All right, cool. Let's just hang out and talk about rap. But then you meet people, you know, when you meet certain people and you meet their mother or their father or their wife or their girlfriend or their kids or whatever, you know, you build a real relationship with somebody. And I feel, you know, like you know, I this dude's like a part of my family at this point, you know, and me coming to New York and being around his mom and his wife and you know, that stuff is it's real to me. That and especially like that's legacy shit that I love to be around. You know, I'm a father of 3, so you know it's important for me, you know, to build on the family side of that with somebody in the business, because you know that's, you know, you can come in this game and be like, oh, you rap and I rap and we hang out, whatever, but then you walk away and he's like, you'll never see that motherfucker ever again. You know, but then you come into the game and you or you really forge a friendship with somebody, and you know, like I said, I got this guy who pushes me. He's behind me. He's supporting me. Yo, this is dope. Yo, you need to be doing more of this. Yo, like you need to spit this. Yo, you need to come like this. I never had that. I was always big brother to, you know, in the game, or my peers were on a lateral plane, you know. Granted, I had, you know, you know, coming up. None of y'all got to see that but I know that and that is, I know that got better with when I wasn't around anyway, you know, and I wasn't around for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, coming up, having a lateral friend tell you that or whatever. But now where I'm at now, to have somebody like this dude who's on top of his fucking game, who I'm telling you, man, this motherfucker's a pit bull, bro. I would, man, I'm telling you, if we could gamble on fucking rap, I'm telling you, I would grab this motherfucker like the color of money and walk into a fucking room and just watch him play the fucking pool hall all fucking day, eating motherfuckers alive, and we walk out that bitch with 10 racks. That's how I feel about this kid, you know, and to have him behind me like that, man, it means everything to me. I love this kid, man, for real.
Only big things on the way, and we've already achieved so much already, man, for Bobby J here.
For
Hush,
real.
I want to thank you guys for your time and just all the short stories that you shared here tonight on the show. I appreciate everything that you're doing for hip hop, keeping the real hip hop going out there and just keeping it up with your guys' legacies and your own stories. You got so much on the way here. And I want you to let them know where they can follow you on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, everything.
At Bobby J from Rockaway on Instagram, at Bobby J Rockaway on Twitter, Facebook.com/Bobby J from Rockaway, YouTube.com/Bobby J. If you search Bobby J from Rockaway on any streaming platform, whether it's Apple Music, Spotify, whatever, you'll find me. Yeah, man. And if you're a fan of the music, hit my DM, let me know. Try to respond to all fans, you know what I mean? And I just appreciate everybody out there who's listening to the music, everybody that's supporting the album. Thank you, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this, you know. That's the most important factor, you know what I'm saying? Like Hush mentioned before, we cracked the top 25 on iTunes when we came out, and that blew my mind. And that wouldn't have happened without people, you know, following us and supporting what we do. So thank you.
Of
Yeah.
course, Hush, let them know they can follow you as well.
Yo, Hush 313, IG and Twitter. And then go to 7182313.com. They can catch all the videos there. That takes links right to our right to Bobby's YouTube page. Watch all our videos, subscribe, you know, do what they gotta do, like all that good stuff. Yeah, man. And then hit me up. Anybody wants beats, hit me up, email me 313hush@gmail.com.
Reach out. These people got to reach out. Do your research on Hush as well. He's got a lot of history behind him. He knows the real Cheddar Bob.
Yes, he's my
Wreck.
DJ, bro.
Yeah.
That's my DJ. he's a fucking fool too, bro. Like he is who he is, man. He's Cheddar Bob for life. He was Drunk Bob when we were coming up, but the movie fucking they switched his name up to Cheddar Bob, and so after that his fucking fool ass was like, oh, I guess I'm Cheddar Bob now. So everybody calls him Cheddar Bob, but he's my DJ, man, and he's got beats. Dude's crazy with it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Cheddar
Hush is
Bob.
coming, featuring Nate Dogg. He's got some classics right there, and Hush is still coming.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here, bro. I ain't going nowhere.
Pause.
Bobby J and Hush, thank you guys for coming on the show, man. I appreciate both of you.
Thank you, brother. Thank
You're
you.
always
man,
welcome.
always.
Pleasure, man. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. All right.
All right, man. Be
See you,
good.
man. Thank
Good.
you.